Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for some more EVE Online. Today's video is going to be from JITA, the largest trade hub in EVE Online, because I want to take a look at the impact of the new proving grounds on the market in EVE Online. So far I think it's going to be pretty interesting because we have different types that CCP is trying at the moment. We have the 2 versus 2 cruiser meta that is going, so we'll take a look at that market. Of course, next week we should see the start of the next event, which will be a 5-way free-for-all destroyer brawl. I think that one will be basically as accessible as you can make it when it comes to the proving grounds, so we should definitely see an impact there. And then after that they're planning one with a single ship type, which could also be very interesting to see if there's been some speculation on that ship type already, or if that's potentially an opportunity for us, of course, to make some ISK trading that ship right now. What I'm flying is actually a Thrasher. I received 3 or 4 of these destroyers from a viewer many months ago, actually. Said, you know, if you want to just go and lose them in low sec or something like that. Well, I never got around to that, but I've been moving them over here to JITA because this is where I'm probably planning to move into those proving grounds from, and I'm gonna use these ships then. So I've got a couple that already over here. This was a donation from a viewer, contracts with the hull and the fits that I just put in them, and we'll see how it works out, of course, but can't really look a gift horse in the mouth here. This is a great opportunity for me to 4-0 ISK get a couple of these matches in those new proving grounds. So let's maybe get started going on the market tab here, and of course we have to first take a look at those cruisers. So we go to, we're gonna first collapse everything, and then we get ships, cruisers, standard cruisers, and I think here, because this has now been going for a couple of weeks, that we will have an idea as to which ships are more popular as well. Here, the Arbitrator, that's a pretty damn nice chart. Can I make it like a little bit larger so that you can see a little bit more of it? Well, who needs to see local in JITA? So we'll go like that. And so this is the Arbitrator chart. Look at the volume increase. That's quite significant. We do see a pretty sharp drop off at the tail end here, and a doubling of the price from 7.5 million up to 15 million ISK. And after that, it's still 13 million from the sellers. So this is very impressive. The Arbitrator, I do think, a very popular choice when it comes to the proving grounds. It has everything that you want, honestly, for potentially a kitey meta and easy damage application with launchers and with a decently good drone bay, if I'm not mistaken. Attributes, yeah, there we go, 50 megabit. So missiles, drones, always a winner in my opinion, and so this one doing pretty well. Then we've got the Augur. You can see it's a little bit shyer in its price increase and in its volumes as well, or going up only to 12.5 million, and a much sharper decline in the price as well. We're already down to 10 million for the cost of an Augur. The Mauler, very nice volume spike, price wise going pretty much similar. We actually have some weird data points, I think, that put us back to almost 15 million ISK. It's still 14.3 million now for a Mauler. That's quite relative, right? 15 million ISK is not that much, but normally you need to pay less than 10 million for a cruiser, and so here this is pretty damn significant. Now on all of them we will also see this bump here starting in February. That is, of course, the actual mineral prices that have gone up, and so here it's maybe like a 50% jump, but a massive jump in volumes as well for the Mauler. And I think the Omen will do pretty well. Well, it did really well on the first day, it seems. After that, volumes dropped off pretty damn quickly. We started off at maybe 8 million ISK. We had a jump up to 17.5 million on that very first day, but I don't think it does that well in the meta. We're down to 15 million. Availability is not very high, and yeah, a pretty sharp decline here in the volumes of the Omen, whereas the Arbitrator has been able to stay very popular for a much longer time. So in the Amar meta, I'm definitely gonna say that the Arbitrator seems to be the winner. The Mauler doing really well, and actually the Omen, not bad price-wise. Next up, Caldari. That should be a very popular segment, except well, the Blackbird, not that popular it seems. Starts at 7.5 million and only goes up to, well, 10 million right now. Bit of a bump to 12.5. Nothing major to report here, but the winner ought to be the Caracal. There it is. Look at those volumes, and then a very steady decline over the course of the next few days after the initial launch. But staying, I mean, at 1,000 units very, very easily. If we're quickly gonna try to compare that to the Arbitrator in volumes, 500. So pretty obvious that the Caracal is a really big winner. It was already becoming quite a bit more expensive, 7.58 million for the first half of the year. Then resource changes, putting it at probably 12 million or something like that, and it is going for 12 million. This is a very big surprise, and it shows that this is a sandbox. It's not because the Caracal is the most popular or probably one of the most popular ships in the current proving grounds that this is where you're making all your ISK. There is basically a bit of an overshot happening from industry, focusing too much on the Caracal. They brought the price back down to 12 million already, and there's more money to be made actually in the Amar ships than in the Caracal itself. Very, very cool part here as well. I like it. I thought we would be paying a much bigger premium for the Caracal because of its popularity at the moment. The MOA not doing that badly, couple of days with up to 500 ships, went up to above 15 million ISK and is still going for 14 million, starting off here at something pretty similar to the Caracal, 10, 11, maybe 12 million ISK or something like that. So a much lower premium than what we got on the Amar ships. And then the Osprey also seemingly far less popular than the other ones. We do have a price reaction, but the volumes are clearly showing that that's not being used too much. I'm expecting the Vexor to do really well as well, but let's first take a look here at the Celestis. 1 day volume spike, driving the price up from 7.5 to 12.5 million, and then, you know, declining in popularity, already back down to 10 million ISK as well. After that, we get the Executor, also a 1 day flash in the pan event, going up to 12.5 million and is already back down below 10 million ISK, so clearly not that popular in the meta. Thorax and Vexor though should be better. Thorax is already showing that if you want a brawler fit, this can definitely be useful. A couple more days with increased volumes, went up to 750 compared to 1,000 for the Caracal on that first day, but price-wise, again, very limited in scope, less than 12 million now for the sellers. It's a premium, but it is not massive. And then here we have the Vexor, went up to 1,000, managed that for 2 days, stayed above 500 for the 2 days after that, and here we do have a starting point of around 10 million, and we did jump up to 15 and even 17.5 million on those first few days. On the other hand, again, far more interest in production of these ships apparently, because we're already back down to 12.5 million, and there's something wrong. There we go with my screen, that's better. It's one of my side screens, don't worry. But 12.5 million, a bit of a premium, but like 20% up or something like that. Very, very reasonable, despite the very high popularity of the Vexor as well. And then finally we get the Minotaur ships. I'm not too familiar with those. The Bellicos, all right, only up to 200 though, so this is relative, but look at the impact of the price. Starts below 10 million, goes up to 17.5 million ISK, already back down to 11, so clearly not that popular, which is reflected in the actual volumes here. Then we get the Rupture. I think that would do a little bit better. Yep, up to 400 units as well. Starts from 10, goes up to 15, but back down, well, 13 million. That's kind of reasonable. Then we have the Scythe, hardly seen here, and then we have the Stabber, which I think will be the most popular one. Went up to 750 and managed to hold that for 3 days. Gradual decline down towards 500, and this one starts at 10 million, goes up to almost 20 million, on over 20 million on a couple of days, and then goes back down, still paying almost 16 million ISK for a Stabber. Honestly, this is already very interesting to me personally. If you're looking for market and industry opportunities when it comes to the proving grounds, the very first pattern that I'm seeing here is that the strongest meta ships, the ones that are becoming by far the most popular, are not the ones that are giving you the best results. Now, including the volumes, it's probably still a great idea to put at least some industry in that, but for trade, you would have done far better with the Arbitrator, with the Mauler. I think that one is still pretty expensive. Yeah, 14 million ISK, and also, you know, the Minmatar Stabber still going for almost 16 million ISK. That's where there's some real profits if you manage to make them on the cheap early on, or if you bought them before the whole hype happened. So very interesting pattern here, something that I did not expect. I really thought that the one that would still be by far the most expensive and have that big premium would be the Caracal, because from what I've read, it is like really, because of its launcher capabilities and its speed, it is basically missiles, kiting, and something that's like on top of the meta in the 2 versus 2 cruiser brawls. So very interesting information in my opinion. Next up, let's take a look at the destroyers, which is of course the upcoming event for the proving grounds, and we see that for this one, which I think is also kind of interesting, all of these cruisers sort of with the launch, or maybe a day before the launch, saw their volumes spike drastically. Here we clearly have preparations being made by the player base. Here is the cursor. You can see that the volumes have been going up for about a week, and the price has also gone up from 1 million to almost 1.5 million. The Dragoon, same thing, for about a week now. People have been preparing for these new proving grounds. We actually spiked up to almost 2 million ISK for the proving grounds, again showing that missiles and drones is always going to be a very popular thing to try, and we're still paying 1.4 million for Dragoons right now. So the bad news is, if you want to be ready for this price spike in the right ship, you're basically too late to be buying for this already. You need to read the announcements and then try to make decisions right off the bat as well. Speed is of the essence, especially for what I feel will be the most accessible of these proving grounds, which, I mean, just grab a destroyer, 2 million ISK, that's definitely very doable. And it's also like an all-out brawl, so you know, you can just go in there by yourself. And here we have one that ought to be super popular. Here is the Corax. I think you could say that this is like the Caracal of these Tick 1 destroyers, right? Missiles. It looks like a goddamn U-boat. It should have speed on its side as well. And that one goes up from almost 1 million ISK to 2 million ISK on some pretty sizable volumes since a couple of days, well, probably almost a week as well. Now going for 1.6 million ISK. Then we have the Cormorant that actually jumped up to 2.5 million. And here people have been preparing for 2 weeks at least. Look at these volumes, that is pretty damn massive. And so this shows that it's not only the launch of the event that's important. What I do find interesting, we're down to less than 1.5, buyers are coming in at 1.2, but especially I think if you can produce these, this is my read on it, at least that's my expectation. This is the spike of the people that are preparing for it, that know that follow all the EVE news and know, all right, you know, in a week we'll have this event, so I'd rather, if I want to take part in it, get some of these ships ready and fitted and all of that stuff. But there is still a big part of the player base that will just find these filaments and say, all right, time to buy myself a destroyer. And so here this Cormorant chart looks actually still pretty decent to start your investment, or especially your production right now. You know that Cormorant Corax is going to be very popular. Next up, we've got the Algos, one that I would personally really like to fly a little bit as well. I love drone ships, and so this is of course why I would take the Algos. Volume wise, again, since about a week, and we went from about 1 million to 2 million, back down to 1.5, but there's people that are still prepping and probably speculating, so it's 1.7 million for the Algos, one of the highest prices here. And then the Catalysts did go up in volumes, price-wise also to 1.5 million. I'm not sure if this one is going to be very popular though. I think in a 5-way free-for-all, Kaiti will be something that'll give you the best chance to at least survive until a couple of the others are down, and as a result I think brawlers will have a tough time in that very specific one. And then we still have some Minmatar ones. Volumes, of course, a little bit more conservative, a little bit less popular it seems, but definitely the same pattern. Since about a week people are starting from 1 million up to 1.5 and above in price as well. And then the Thrasher, which is what I received for a couple of people, well, 1500 in volumes and a step up to 1.5 million ISK as well. 50% increase in prices for these destroyers. 1.5 million still feels like that's something that's going to be very, very accessible for everyone. Though I would say if you want in on the advantages, potentially market advantages of this proving ground, I'd start producing them. These BPOs are not that difficult to get. Perhaps you still have some cheap minerals lying around. Making them, I think, will give you that biggest margin, because you now have the opportunity to sell at the best possible price without needing to jump in when you're a week late and you're already paying that 50% premium right now. Will the spike be massive? I expect it to be, but of course you never know. I am not sure. And then finally we have one more to take a look at actually, and that is the Imperial Navy Slicer, because that is what I talked about right at the beginning of the video. CCP is planning to, I think it's for like a special Amar holiday in game, and we're already too late. I was hoping that this would stay under the radar a little bit more, but nope. We went from 12.5 million on the day of the announcement. We get a volume spike, and people have been just going nuts trading the Imperial Navy Slicers. These volumes, of course, normally you get what in a day, 40, 50 of them, and now we've been trading 500 plus for about a week as well. Quite significant. Currently selling for 15.8 million, buyers at 14.3 million. Not that easy to produce either, of course. I would still say if you want to take the gamble, I wouldn't blame you, because I don't think that many people are aware that the Imperial Navy Slicer will become the only ship to fly for a certain event, and this could still be low, as this is basically the market anticipating what could happen with that very specific proving ground, and we don't know what CCP is planning after these events, so they definitely should not announce these too far ahead of time, I think, but we'll see how CCP handles that. So far I think that this is very interesting, and I'm seeing basically more opportunities for producers than for Twitch traders that basically want to ride those waves, because then you're gonna be super dependent on timing CCP's announcement, buying big stocks of that, and will you be able to sell all of them? Are you sure about the right ship? No, I think focusing your industry on these specific ships is probably gonna be a pretty juicy move if you can, at current price still get a positive margin for what you're producing, and then you get a 50% markup, and on some ships even more than that. I think that is where the real opportunity lies. So very cool. I think this could be a pretty interesting new feature for industrial-minded players, whereas of course for roamers and things like that, it could be a little bit detrimental to them, as it will take people out of the PvP action from EVE Online. But we'll see how it all evolves, of course. There's one more thing here that I want to share, although we've already been going for 18 minutes. You can see on my ships here that I've sold a lot of my Tech 2s except for the Guardian, and I think I can show you guys on my market orders what I've done. Unfortunately, I don't know by heart what I bought all of these ships at, but I can tell you, for instance, Hound, I bought it, it's gonna be around 22 million, and I sold these, all 4 of them, for 39.6 million. That's practically 100% profit on my Hound trade. Those vehicles I bought for less than 33 million, very close to 32 I think, sold them for 35.6, a little bit early actually. Can I do a market details from this one? As we saw in EVE Talk, we're up to 40 million ISK at this point, so I sold that a little bit too early, but I made a profit in what I think was a pretty predictable way on that one. Purifier sold for 36 million, bought in the same 22 million ISK range. Nemesis, not doing that well, but still 22 range again, sold for 29, so got some profit out of that. And then I sold these Aries as well for 29.5. I'm not sure, but we went really low on that one. Look at this here, average prices went as low as 21.7. I think I bought this for 22 or 22.5. So yet again, not that big a profit, just like with the Nemesis, but we definitely got a profit out of that. And then I also sold the Saber, which I bought, goddammit, I really don't remember, but it was definitely a nice profit on this as well. So also, another thing that I wanted to share here is that, yeah, I've been very successful with these stick-to-ship trades already, and something that I do tend to feel comes back quite often is that with opening salvos, something that becomes super popular all of a sudden are stealth bombers. And so my focus on those has paid off substantially. I mean, this Hound has practically doubled my money. So 4 of them, so that's 160 million, bought them for like 80 or a bit above that, probably made like 75 million on that one trade for 4 ships, which really is not that big in the grand scheme of things. So I feel very happy with that, and this is stuff that I do find out by, well, trading and especially making EVE Talk as well. So looking forward to yeah, doing some more trading, sharing all of that with you guys. And of course, from this point on, I think I will try to keep a closer eye on my investments, reseed everything that I buy, sell, etc. in these folders, so that I can keep you up to date more closely. But the new rig basically threw a wrench in everything, and I just decided, I saw these increases in prices as the war escalated, and I just decided I gotta try to sell now and just take those profits. We'll see what comes of it for future trades and things like that. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I still have a little bit of stuff to do, like these blueprints, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Ooh, 20 million. That's not bad.